guiding us every step of the way. We are blessed. And so I release this treatment now with thanks and gratitude. I release it to the law, knowing it is done, it is so, already so, and so it is.
And so it is. Good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful community here. I am Meredith Green, and I am serving as the secretary of the Board of Trustees now, for your Board of Trustees. And for that reason, the next on the agenda is to have approval of the minutes from last year, 2022's annual meeting. All of you should have received, as a member, you should have received by email a couple of days ago. Pull your phone out if you didn't and look at your email, but make sure you've got the beepers off and all that noise, okay? And I just want to ask, would somebody, I'd like to make a motion, see if someone would like to make a motion to approve these minutes? Okay, who seconds that? Antoinette, Mary Lou? I need a gavel. Done. Thank you so much, and I'm handing it over to Marietta at this time. Thank you.
And Meredith said she was a secretary, but really I'd like to get, because she is a phenomenal secretary. Yeah, I don't have the pleasure of reading the minutes and the notes, and they're very thorough, and she's very quick at getting them out. And people are like, I don't want to be the second. Meredith does a great job, and I'd just like to say thank you, Meredith. So I'm up here to talk about really the election of our Board of Trustees. So I could read you what the bylaws say, and I could tell you about what we did this year. This year, 2 of our board members had resigned, and the board came together and said, we asked Paul Myers if he would step in, and he graciously agreed to step in. And we also did that with Sue Franklin. And so when it was time to do nominations, they had to actually nominate themselves and to go through the process. So they completed the nomination packet, as did our 2 board members whose time had expired, which is David Armholter and Lucia Cooper-Smith. So we did have a nominating committee, and it was Reverend Lynn Bennett who chaired that. Meredith and myself were the participants. And we reviewed everybody's packet, and we had no others who submitted their names for consideration. So on March 10th, that process had ended, and I would like to introduce to you our Board of Directors or Trustees for this next year. And this is going pretty quickly, so y'all can get outside. And Lucia, would you like to?
Yes, I would. Okay, I am the treasurer, so I have the honors of. Thank you, Antoinette. I can tell you're a professional because I didn't know that. So I have the honor of presenting our financials for 2022 and our budget for 2023. I am not an accountant, so I believe in doing things in summary form. So we're going to go through this pretty quickly. AJ, can I have the next slide? There's 2 numbers we care about. How much money do we bring in and how much money do we spend? Oh, there it is. So these are the numbers of what we brought in. So the first column shows you what we forecasted we would bring in, and then what we actually brought in. And there were several categories that we looked at. One, obviously, is donations, then rentals, education, the bookstore, ministry, which is youth ministry, fellowship hall, fundraising, a whole bunch of things fall into the ministry category. And then fundraising is not part of ministry. on this chart anyway, and then the other category. So you could see that where the bulk of our revenues came in was from donations, rentals, education, bookstore. And that number on rentals, that 8931, includes $8,000 in parking rentals when we were renting out our parking lot to the COVID testing site. So we're obviously going to forecast a little bit differently for 2023, make rental property rental more realistic, more in the $1,000 neighborhood. So next slide, AJ. So this next slide is a pie chart of what we have spent, and I wish I had a laser so I could point at the numbers. But if you look at the lower right-hand corner to all of you, our budget of what we were going to spend was $155,000. We actually spent $143,000, so we were under budget by just under $12,000. And if you look at the pie chart, the majority of our expenses come in payroll. If you look on the right-hand side, 42% of our expenditures are payroll-related. And then another 26% are building related. And then everything really is somewhere between less than 1% and 9% of expenditures. But what we look at is our speakers, the ministry, which does include fundraising on this chart and every other chart, and how we track it. That includes fellowship, it includes the youth group, it includes all of the teams, so social events, marketing expenses, any expenses for any of the teams. And then there's the youth program, which was just under $6,000 in expenditures, technology, tithing. We tithe every month to the home office. We tithe $400 every month to the home office because we do believe in the law of circulation. As we give, we receive. We spent just under $4,000 on expenses related to searching for our new minister. And then fees are more banking fees, fees for credit card fees. So when we make a donation, we charge it to our credit card. We get charged a credit card processing fee. So those are those kind of fees. And then office equipment. And you could see the numbers. And can everybody see these numbers? I'll ask the question. You could see them on the board because we have copies in case anybody couldn't see the numbers. So AJ, if you could bring up the next slide. This slide is just a bar chart of each of those expenses that I already covered. And it just shows you the blue line is what we budgeted. The orange is what we actually spent. So you could see we were slightly up on payroll. We were down on what we thought we'd spend on the building. We were spot on with the speakers. And everything else, we were really pretty close on what we budgeted. We'll just revise our budget this year based on this. So AJ, let's go to the summary slide. I told you this was going to be fast. So the summary of our 2002 financial summary, we brought in just over $149,000. We spent just over $143,000, which left us with net revenue of just over $6,000. And for our budget, and we could give anybody who wants the detail of all of these numbers and what goes into them, I can certainly share them. But the bottom line for our budget is that our budget is a temporary one because everything will change with the sale of the building, acquisition of a new space, hiring of a new minister. So we are really treating this budget as more of a snapshot of what we are anticipating month to month until a major event happens. So our budget for this year is based on what we spent in January and February, which is just over $12,000 a month is what our typical budget is, and that will change. Two things that could change it in the process before one of those events happens is if we have any building repairs, or of course, when we identify candidates to be our new minister, we will fly them into town and have them spend the weekend and meet all of you at different events and speak to us at a Sunday service. So those are expenses outside of our normal budget that we can anticipate this year. So that is it on our financial summary. Does anyone have any questions on this? Excellent.
But I would like to add, Lucia does a great job with our finances.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And she had, where this is a summary, if you want to participate in our board meeting, which is the third Monday of every month, the link is on our website. She inundates us with a lot of information and a lot of detail. So if there is more detail, we are transparent and we do come forth with that, and you're welcome to join us at the board meeting.
We're not lacking in detail. I would suggest, though, really high-powered cheater reader glasses, because the fonts are very small, and maybe a shot of tequila if you really want the detail. So that's it. I am adjourning our annual meeting since there are no. Whoops.
What is the update on the space, the building?
Wait, we're adjourning the annual meeting because now we can stop taking notes and submitting our minutes for next year, and we are starting our town hall meeting. So this is officially the beginning of the town hall meeting, and the first topic, of course, is our building and what is going on with it. And I have the honor of announcing that we are officially under contract for this building. So I'm going to give you some quick details about this. We're under contract for $4.5 million. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great price. This is a really great contract. It is to a group of people that operate medical offices. So it's nice to know that this space will continue being a healing space for people. It will require that they rezone this property, but we feel really good about it. This is not their first time at this rodeo. They've rezoned a number of properties to create space for their medical offices. We do anticipate that process is about a 6-month process. The second part of the contract, $4.5 million, and they will give us 3 months free rent to stay in the building after the date of closing. So that really gives us some breathing room, that we have 6 months while they rezone the property, plus another 3 months to find our space and remodel or do whatever we need to do to that space. So we feel really, really good about this contract. Of course, there were exclusions to the contract. Our stained glass behind us is one of the exclusions. The starburst on the building is one of the exclusions. All of the lighting, anything related to the music department and AV department comes with us. And then anything that's loose, all the wall hangings and things like that. So we do have some exclusions in there. And from here, there are 2 things that we need to do as a community for our next steps. The first is to support this buyer. They're going to go through a process of rezoning, which is going to entail 3 Metro Council meetings. They're called 3 readings that they will do, where they'll be presenting their architectural diagrams. They'll do that to the Planning Commission. But then when they go to the Metro Council, they'll 3 months in a row, they will present to Metro Council. They also have to notify the neighbors that this property will go through a rezoning, so the neighbors will get to weigh in. We can support them by attending those Metro Council meetings and supporting the rezoning of this property. And especially for those of you who are actually residents in this area, your voices are even stronger because you will be speaking out and saying, yeah, this rezoning is a good thing. So that's the first thing we can do. And we'll let you guys know the dates of these meetings as they come up. We just went under contract on Friday, so they haven't submitted to us their schedule of when they will be filing and attending these meetings. But the second thing we can do is, Etta mentioned during the announcements that we have a transition team, and there are 3 things the transition team will focus on. One is clearing out this building. We have a lot of stuff in this building. We got rid of a lot last year, but we have a lot more that we can look at and really evaluate. What do we want to bring with us? What do we want to sell? What do we want to give away? What really has no value, etc. The second thing that the interim team the transition team will do is start identifying interim space if needed. So we already started doing some of this work a few months ago. Leslie Austin called several hotels. Karen McLaughlin called some places. I called some high schools. We have on the list bars and restaurants. You know, many of them have space that aren't being used on Sunday morning, and there are other churches that are actually, like Third and Lindsley has, Grace Point has their Sunday services there. You know, we can call synagogues where their centers are not in use on Sunday mornings. So we need a group of people who really identify where would we go on an interim basis, because we want to go to one place. We don't want to hop around. We'd prefer it not be a hotel. We'd prefer something a little warmer than that. So that's the second part of the transition team. And the third part of the transition team is identifying a permanent new space for us. And we have three options, really. We can look at leasing commercial space. We can look at buying commercial space. And we have the advantage of looking at buying residential space. So if there is a home that sits on several acres of land where we could put in a parking lot and our meditation garden and our labyrinth or whatever we want to do to that property, and if the house is large enough, we can remodel it to create a sanctuary that wouldn't look like a sanctuary necessarily. Or if the house is not large enough, we could build a sanctuary on the property. So, or as an addition to the house. So there are a lot of ways of looking at this, and we're remaining open to all possibilities, and we will rely on realtors to step us through and help us through that process. So I will stop talking now and open this up to any questions you guys have about what we know about this so far in terms of where we'll go, what we'll do, or anything you want to know about the agreement that we reach with the buyer. Did I give you that much information that there are no questions? Oh my gosh, okay. Well, there it is. That's the update. Oh wait, Laura? We'll pay the realtor commission as well as our lawyer, both of whom earned their money. And the buyers, they'll split the commission with the buyer's realtor as well, which is standard. But we anticipate we'll probably net around $4 million.
So
and
what percentage are we having to pay?
I think it was 5.8% on, was it 5.8 commission on the realtor fees, and the lawyer, she will tally it up at the end. It really depends on how much time she spends. This is the second offer we've had. The first offer was not something we could really pursue. We've had a couple of other people interested. That we went through an LOI process with this buyer. So she's invested and her team has invested some time already, and then obviously they'll bring this to closing.
And the second question I have, and I'm making an assumption, but I don't want to make an assumption. So we don't have, because we're a nonprofit church, we don't have any tax exposure whatsoever?
None.
Buying or selling or buying?
None. We have no capital gains tax. We owe $55,000, just right in that neighborhood. So with $4 million netted, that will be really great for us, a great start.
That's on our mortgage
Yeah.
for this place. We didn't get rid of it. We kept the mortgage to keep that bank relationship going.
Right.
So.
And then now I have a third question.
Okay.
And I think that's it. So will we take the profit and will we get somebody to help us invest it so that it's making money while we're getting ready to buy something else? You know, because we could be making 4 or 5%.
We haven't finalized it, but that is what we have discussed, is not spending $4 million on a new property, but spending something significantly less and then investing the rest of the money so that we really protect this center financially in perpetuity. So that, yes, it would be an endowment, and the home office actually has an endowment program that we can participate in. It would be our money, we would have access to it, but They have the staff that monitors things, watches things, makes sure that they're making money, and they are making their staff available just to let us mirror what their investment is, basically, so that we get the same return. So that's a possibility, but we haven't finalized any of those decisions yet. And Antoinette, you had a question.
What's the budget for the new, where do you want to stay within?
You know, we've kicked around. It really depends on what we're looking at. The first few realtors we looked at brought us some commercial properties, and it's tough with commercial properties because we have 128 parking spaces right now. So we want to have a nice sized parking lot in the new space. Most of the commercial spaces only had 25, 30, 40 parking spots. So that's why we started looking at residential properties. We haven't officially started looking, but David and I periodically go online separately. It's like you're watching TV and you're like, oh, I wonder what's on Zillow these days. And we found properties that have, 5,000 square feet, 4 acres, somewhere in the 2.5 million neighborhood. But again, that's going to be we have to work with the realtor, and the transition team needs to work on what would that budget be, because we're going to have to tell the realtors, we want this much in square footage, we want this much land, and this is our budget. And we want something that we can obviously adapt. Like some of the properties, the residential properties we've looked at that have already been remodeled, their bathrooms are large enough to adapt to have 2 or 3 stalls in there. So, the transition team that's looking at properties needs to meet and work through that and figure out what are the space requirements.
We need to reserve some money for the remodeling.
Yes, that would be the ideal. This is what and this is all as a result of treatment, you guys. This is treatment that we've been doing all along, saying we want to attract the right and perfect buyer. I think in one of David's visioning sessions, the circle, somebody mentioned, wouldn't it be great if it was maintained as a healing center? And then poof, it's like a medical office is interested, so it will be a healing center. So we need to keep treating, and the ideal would be we close on this property, and a week later we close on our new property, and we already have a contractor lined up, and they have 3 months to remodel it, and we make it seamless. But just in case it doesn't work that way, we'll have some interim spaces lined up. And Annie is monitoring the online chat, so her hand is up, so somebody online has a question. Oh, I am so sorry. That last question was what is our budget in terms of what size, how much would we spend on the new property? Thank you. I meant to repeat the questions and I forgot. Anything else before I turn it over to David to talk about visioning? And of course, you guys, we're going to be here for we only have like a couple of other topics, but ask questions about any topic of any of us at any point today. And I'm going to turn it over to David Arnholter, who's going to talk about our visioning circle and how we are spiritually creating everything that this center wants to create.
Thanks, Lucia. Before I start, I just want to say that it's been a privilege working with this group of people up here on the stage. This is your board of trustees, and they have worked their butts off for you on your behalf. And sometimes it's challenging because we all have our own ideas, but overall it's because we love this center and love this teaching, and you've elected some really good representatives. 2 that you haven't met yet because they didn't come up for renewal that I wanted to make sure and recognize is Beverly Clark. Yeah. And Dale Rogers. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so this is exciting. So a lot of you know that we started a visioning circle at the end of January. Okay, we decided we would do it at the end of the month. And as Lucia said, what was fascinating was that some of the what we did was, I've got so many things I want to say real quick. What we do in a visioning circle is we contact Spirit by centering ourselves and deep listening to find out what Spirit's highest and greatest vision is for. And we looked at our new minister, we looked at a new home, sale of the building, new home, and this last time we looked at youth director. Not visualization, not mental equivalence, but literally opening up what is Spirit? What are we getting from Spirit first? So we did that, and I was collecting all of those, and they were going in the newsletter shortly thereafter, and I think you've now seen one, and you're going to see another one this week, hopefully, from two of our sessions. So we've had 3 sessions. And what we'd like you to do is, when you see that, the results of these, is use these in your own personal spiritual meditation, your own spiritual practice, so that you can start seeing that and visualizing that for us. To that end, what we would like to do, starting this month, and it would be on April 30th is our next session, we're going to switch now from visioning to visualization. So what we're going to do in this next one is we're going to take what we've seen from Spirit in visioning and do actual visualization on it. Visualization involves, you have an idea of what you want to accomplish or how you want to live your life when you're visualizing, then imagining that that goal has already been achieved and establishing mental equivalent of what that looks like. So we're taking it and ramping up this process, particularly on our home. Now that we've already sold it, now what are we going to do? Where are we going to be? We've got a lot of great, and what's interesting is a lot of the same visions from Spirit of what we're looking for. So now we're going to visualize about it. So I'd love to have all of you come to the upstairs classroom at the end of April 30th, and help us with that process, okay? And then we'll see what else we need to do. We may do some visualization, then we may go back to another visioning session, but at least once a month, bringing the community together, and then we'll let the whole community know what came up with, okay? Anything else on that anybody would like to know? Do you want me to go ahead and start on the education, or are you going to introduce all that?
Yeah, but so David just finished visioning. What we're going to do right now is talk about, even though we have these wonderful board of trustees, boy, we have so many more people. Without their assistance, our center wouldn't be the center. And so for the next little segment, we're going to highlight some of our community leaders, David being the first one on our list, and he is over education, and for him to talk about education for just a split second, if you'd like.
Yeah, okay. So, on education, I just wanted to give a quick report on that for you all. In 2022, we had 5 classes, we had 2 workshops, we had 2 new member classes, and we saw over 130 students last year. This year already, we've had 2 classes, 1 workshop, 1 new member class, and have seen over 40 students, and I'm hoping that that's going to ramp up even more. I really want to give thanks to our teachers, in particular Reverend Dr. Mitch Johnson, Reverend Sean O'Shea, Reverend Roby Chavance, and our practitioners, Marietta Carter, Candy Paul, and Marla Sanderson. Thank you for your help with our education program. We're hoping to have even more. And some of you that were in the service today heard, and I just want to make sure that you get what's getting ready to happen. This is exciting. Dr. Mitch, we just finished a class called Hidden Power of the Scriptures, and we had a ton of people show up. It was a fantastic class. Well, he's decided to offer part 2. So it's called More of the Hidden Power of the Scriptures, okay? He's going to go into the Gospel of John and the mysticisms of that and other things. We're going to read another Neville book, which is exciting. It will be supplied. I think it's called Freedom for All. And what we decided is for this starting forward, we're going to try it on Wednesday nights. So this first class literally part 2, is going to be taught on Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8, like we've been doing. You can either come here to the center or participate on Zoom. And we want to see if that opens it up to allow more people to come. We had several people say, well, Thursday nights just don't work for me. So I'm hoping that this is it. Expect to hear a lot of big things about education this year. That is like one of the most important things of our teaching. And so I'm committed to making sure that we offer something for everyone. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, great, thanks.
Let's just give a round of applause to David for all his hard work. Woo, woo, woo. The next leader that I'd like to recognize is Susan Prim. Yay, yay, yay. Susan is over our sacred service. She's the one who makes sure that we have greeters every Sunday. She has gone through the ebbs and flows of us with working with hospitality, and it's something she does every week. She is active in her work, and if ever somebody wants an opportunity to give, it's a wonderful organization, a wonderful group within our center to give to. I personally liked it when I was a greeter at one time because, you know, you give love all the time. You hug people when they come in, you know, so if you like to love people, go see Susan. Okay. Sitting behind our monitor back here, I'd like to give some recognition to AJ for our AV team. And Lucia Cooper-Smith with our marketing team. You want to say anything? Sue.
Ray.
Yeah, and Ray.
And Ray. I'm sorry, Ray.
Oh, it's okay.
What?
Does a lot of work around here.
He does. I know. I appreciate you, Ray. I was doing the team leaders, but, you know, Ray, thank you.
You're vital.
You're vital. We appreciate you. Give him a check. So for another person who shows up week in, week out, Sue Franklin with our bookstore. And somebody else who shows up every week is Annie Golightly. No. And I would like Ursula Roden to come forward and talk a little bit about our practitioners.
Thank you. We have currently 11 practitioners on our team. 4 of them are hosts and the other 7 are readers. Of course, we lost one of our bright lights in January when Carl Franklin made his sudden transition, and we all miss him very, very greatly. Our practitioners, other than doing hosting and reading, of course, are doing the meditation room every Sunday. Always 2 are on duty, the host and 1 reader. Upstairs in the classroom for 30 minutes. And otherwise, after the service, as you have seen us, we are in front here. Today, you saw several of us. They're still here, so if I may recognize them for a minute, if you all just stand up. Our practitioners, 3 are on the board, and there are a few others in the congregation. Would you mind standing up, please? Thank you. Prayer treatment is the most important thing. It's one of the very, very powerful means that we have available to us. And so in different case studies and the feedback that we get from different people that we have treated for, we really feel how powerful it is and how much we have available to us. And please, 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 it does make a difference in the lives of people. Make use of it. Wherever you need, whenever you need it, in whichever area of your life you need it. These are 11 professionally trained people that are lovingly giving their service here on Sunday and are willing to work with any one of you one-on-one. You can contact them on the website. We are all listed there. You can contact them there directly through a button available. So please allow us to serve. We love to do it, and we also love to spread that love to each and every one. Thank you.
So our last part is just opportunities, and I think Lucia has really talked a lot about that. We've mentioned the need and the desire for group together to come together for our transition team. If you have any questions at all, please send them to Annie, and she can fill them out to us. Yes, Alan.
I don't know what the omission was, but we also need to thank Larry for the music.
Wow, that was a big one. Thank you, Alan. Did we forget anybody else? Do you know? Right off. Okay. Larry, thank you. Thank you for our music team. It's been so inspiring. You know, we put those tissues to good use. Yeah.
You know, we get here, it wouldn't be for me alone. I'm just letting everybody know that.
Right, the musicians.
Our team.
Right.
Our team shows up, Ray shows up at 7:30 on Sunday morning, every Sunday. The band pretty much gets here pretty much close after that. And it's a long day, and it's a lot of people, and AJ and the video and the audio team working together is, you know, we've got a special thing, and these guys really know what they're doing, and I really appreciate it. And you should all give them a big round of applause.
Yeah, and Antoinette, and thanks for, it is a music team, and Larry is leader of the music team, and so we're highlighting, and like with Susan, highlighting the team leaders, and wow, they have just a wonderful team underneath them, and I think Larry's doing a great job in inspiring all these musicians to come forward, so thank you. So our last part is any opportunities, and once again, and when we talk about music, we sure do want some music and AV people on this transition team because there's a lot of unique needs that other people may not think about. And so let's not assume that, you know, if we're going to know what is needed, and to be sure that your voice and your need is known as we go through this transition. Also, I think we talked about the youth. We are actively interviewing for a youth director. And in the meantime, we can appreciate or are open to our community to step forward. I encourage you to maybe find a buddy or such to say, hey, Annie, I can take a Sunday a month. We would prefer that 2 people be to assist per week, and it involve a background check and such. We stay in the guidelines of what home office and what is safe and secure for our children. But I encourage, if y'all have, you know, if you ever worked with kids, if you ever looked at kids, if you ever loved kids, you know, just one Sunday a month while we get our new director. I'm also going to take the opportunity to say something about our minister search, as it's been asked to me today, and I'm just going to say that we're in the application process, and to know that we're all learning a lot, and it is a process, as I see Alan shaking his head, and we have a strong team, and So we're just knowing that the right and perfect minister is coming our way. Our right and perfect minister is here and is making its way to us as we open our hearts and our minds to that person being in our physical presence. And yes, Marla.
Do you have any specific candidates who expressed an interest yet? Or is that not a question I should ask?
You know, you can ask any questions. You can ask any questions. I will say that the Home Office gave us some wonderful suggestions about how we should field questions. And part of that is that if we start getting into the nuts and the bolts, and yes, what if I said yes, she would say, oh, I can imagine somebody saying, oh, well, tell me about who submitted an application, or what is this person with it can. So it's kind of like a can of worms, you know. You open it up, and then you just keep kind of spilling out. So
I'm not asking for specifics. I'm just asking, are we getting any action?
yes.
Oh, good.
And so please continue to treat, and please make that a part of your daily service, knowing that the right and perfect minister is ours, and that we'll know who this minister is. Okay? Any other opportunities that y'all would like to talk about?
Events.
We do. We had an events coordinator, team leader, and who has stepped down. So if you like events, if you like picnics, if you like getting people together, if you like planning, we have opportunities to serve. And I think it's a fun team leader position. And, it's not just one person doing everything. It's one person connecting with a lot of people. And it's an important role. I think as we go through this transition that we need, to have a sense of community. And I think an events team leader would be somebody that can join the whole team council or the team leaders in making sure that we all stay together as one. So if you have any interest, or please come forward. You can ask me about it. You can call, once again, Annie, and she can send it our way. Anything else, Meredith?
That's it.
So,
Any questions?
any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions from the floor? You know what? I don't want to leave. I'd like to just acknowledge Susan Jones. I hadn't seen in a long time, and Roland here. It's really so.
Roland.
I did. I said Roland.
Okay. I didn't hear you.
Everybody was clapping, so no one heard you say Roland, too.
Well, I said Roland. I wouldn't let Roland. So it's so good to see y'all. So thank you for coming. And so now I'll turn it over.
No questions from anybody about anything at all?
Everything sounds great?
Not just what we talked
It's this community. It's really this community. And I think that let's just take a moment to give everybody else a hand, because it's really.
All right, let's have our closing treatment. And just feel that peace and feel that love and feel that harmony. Feel that oneness in the community. And just be here in the presence, in the now, in the love and in the gratitude for all that is, that all what we have experienced and now continue to experience. I know that there's only that one power, that presence, that love. It is expressing through each and every one of us, right here, right now, and always. Never forsaking us, always within us, always around us. We are free to choose to express it, to be it. And we certainly are grateful that we were able to experience that right now, and all of this guidance and all of these gifts and all of those wonderful, wonderful workers here for us that are putting forth the effort to make this all possible, to be the instruments of God, of creativity, to be the hands of God, to express their love and their peace and their joy and their love for this community. I am so grateful that we have been able to achieve this first step of selling this property, of being under contract, and knowing that it will go forth without any difficulty to its final conclusion and closure. And I know that we have a fantastic transition team that is looking into all of the different possibilities, that is guided and directed to just the right spot and the right solution for us, knowing that this is what is the highest and best for us, whether it is leasing or buying, being prepared to do the work, to let go of this building, to let go of whatever the past was, and be ready for a beautiful new future, a future of love and peace and harmony, of oneness, of feeling that greatness of God within us and everyone, within nature, being connected with it, with all. I'm so grateful that we know that the perfect minister is already on the way to us, that will bring excitement and newness into this community and into our space, and moves forward with us with enthusiasm and joy and love and harmony and oneness. I am very, very grateful that all of this is true, that we can trust it, that we can know it, and that we can let go of all fear and all hesitations, knowing God is love and all is well. And I release these my words unto the law of mind and action, knowing that this is so. With great gratitude, I let it be, and know that this or something much, much better is happening right here and right now. Thank you, God, that it is so. And together we say, and so it is.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, yeah.
Town hall adjourned.